Today we have trainer extraordinaire Gerald Tucker, but better known as GT the Great. Former super featherweight boxer himself, excellent fighter, now trains the likes of Floyd Mayweather and Tyron Woodley and more. He's definitely one of the hottest up and coming trainers in the game. Let's talk to him. Hey, what up, man?
What's up, brother?
Sorry about that. This dude is late for everything.
Hey, man, I know a lot of people like that, man, but they still get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Jeremy. He used to knock people out. There he is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What's up, champ?
Yeah, fellas, I had a meeting late, way on the other side of town, so I'm just headed back home. I'm almost home, but I ain't there yet.
No explanation needed, brother.
So GT, where are you at? You in Vegas?
Now, I'm on the West Coast, though.
Oh, you're in Cali?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So
Every traffic is no joke.
yeah. So where are you from originally, GT?
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. Okay.
You know Tim Austin?
Yep.
That's my bro, man. I love
Bronze
that.
medal, 1992 Olympics.
My dude, man. And was that 19 or 12? I think you found that.
Yep. 112, I believe.
I think it was 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a bad dude.
Yeah. Former IBF world champion.
Yeah, dude.
There we go. There we go. So GT, let's tell us about you a little bit. Your background. How'd you get into boxing and then into training?
Well, I got into boxing. I was playing baseball, like Little League baseball, around ages 12 to like 15, and I was pretty good. I was like defensive player of the team a couple times, a couple years in a row, and my grades had dropped. My mom had kicked me off the team, said I couldn't play any more sports till I got my grades up, and right up in the same projects as me was Ricardo Williams Jr. He ended up becoming silver medalist in the Olympics, and but he was one of the best amateurs of all time. His record was probably like close to 200 with like less than 5 losses or something like that. But he had went visiting his house one time. You know his company. You know how kids are.
Mm-hmm.
And he had plaques and silver glove titles and trophies everywhere. I mean, and ribbons and medals all over the living room, and all I had was 2 little boxing trophies and I'm sorry, 2 little baseball trophies. So I was like, man, I want to try this. I want a whole living room full of stuff too. So I started sneaking to the boxing gym with him, and I got really good really fast, and I started to pull my grades up before I approached my mom with the idea of me starting to box. And so I got my grades up, and then I came to her like, hey, Mom, I've been going to this gym. One of my friends up the street is a boxer, and I've been going to the gym with him and his dad, which is Ricardo Williams Sr. Shout out to my first coach. And she was like, let me see your grades. And I showed her my grades. She was like, okay, you can do it. And with 4 months of me starting, I was ranked number 2 in the United States as a 15-year-old in the Junior Olympics.
You were 15-year-old? You were 15?
Yeah, I was 15 when I started.
What weight?
What weight were you ranked in?
I was 100 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 100 pounds. I was 95 pounds, and my coach was like, man, you got to gain some weight. So they made me eat potatoes and bread for like a couple months straight so I can get up to 100 pounds.
So wait, how old are you now?
Right now, I'm 1 year under Floyd. I'll be 44 in October.
Okay, so you're my age. Okay, cool. So, all right, so then that's when you started boxing. How many amateur fights did you end up having total?
I end up having about 150, somewhere around there, like 130 something with like 19 losses, something like that. I went a bunch of nationals. I won the National Golden Gloves twice. I won it with Floyd in '96, the Olympic year. I won a gold medal at the Pan American Games. I beat a Cuban in the semifinals. I was Olympic alternate in '96. I won the national pals 3 times
Wow.
in a row. '97, '98, '99. I won most valuable boxer at each one of those.
At 100?
Um,
What weight, at 100? Or you?
oh no, I went up to I was 106 as an open fighter, and as an Olympic alternate. Then I went up to 12, and I won the gold medal in Pan Am's at 119. And I turned pro at 122. I signed with Floyd, and James Prince was co-managing me, and I was Floyd's very first fighter. I went 5-0 as a pro, 3 knockouts, and the day before my 5th fight as a pro, they told me that one of my brothers had died, had got killed, and so Roger, I wasn't gonna fight, but Roger, my trainer, me and Floyd's trainer at the time, he told me to, he said, "What would your brother want you to do in this situation?" I said, "He want me to fight, keep fighting and winning." And so I fought. I knocked the guy out. I was on a 2 first round knockout streak. And as soon as I got the knockout, I went home to be with family, do the funeral, and I retired from boxing.
That was, and you retired because of just the trauma, and you were so upset about your brother passing?
Yeah, that was majority of it. Other things, uh, that I don't get into, but yeah, that was mostly it.
Oh, okay. Because that's a huge decision to make. Obviously, when somebody has such a deep amateur career like yourself, and you're doing so well, was it in your mind at that point, I'm going to train straight away, or that didn't come across your mind?
No, I was completely out of boxing. I couldn't even go into a boxing gym. I couldn't go to any fights. I rarely watched any fights. Only fights I watched was like fighters that I knew like personally, like Floyd, Zeb Judah, Vargas, Tarvers. The people that I was on the Olympic team with and stuff like that. So boxing hurt. It really hurted to be around it, to see it, and so I stayed all the way away from it. And for 6 years, I didn't even walk into a gym.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I decided to move back to Las Vegas in '07 to give it another try after Floyd and Zab had the build up, the 24/7 build up for their fight. And I was like, you know what? They about to get all this money. There's still some money out there for me. Let me go ahead and get back into the sport. And I moved back to Vegas from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I tried to get it going. But when you at first, I was signed to Floyd, and I didn't have any bills. I was living with him, just me and him in big old mansions, and I could drive any car, Bentleys, Ferraris, Benzes. I didn't have any bills at all. Only bill he made me pay was a cell phone bill. So um, money wasn't an issue, but when you go back, later on in life, you don't have a manager, promoter. It's kind of hard. You got to work a job, and you got a family. I had 4 kids, and so it was kind of hard to just jump right back into the sport. But I tried and failed, and I just started working regular jobs. And boxing as a trainer came when I just got a phone call out of the blue. A young fighter named Dante Strayhorn. He was I didn't know, but at the time he was signed to rapper 50 Cent's SMS Promotions at the beginning. And when he started it, he asked me, he just called me. I never knew him. I never heard of him. And he called me. Somebody gave him my number. And he said, you grew up with my parents, and they told me to give you a call, that you live out here in Vegas, to see if you'll work with me. And I'm like, work with you? I'm thinking, what do you mean work with a sponsor, manage? And he was like, I want you to train me. And can you come to the gym tomorrow and check me out, see if you'll work with me? I went to the gym, and he looked like he had a lot of potential. And 50 Cent walks in the door, and that's kind of like icing on the cake when you see a big rap mogul,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, you know what? Let me get us a try. This feels like meant to be. So I returned the next day, and that was the beginning of my training career, and that was about like 2013, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So you knew Floyd from being on the Olympic alternate team with him? Is that how
Well,
you got?
well, you know how regions work. When you win this, best in your city, best in your state, and you go to the regionals. Floyd was in my region, and he's from Michigan. I'm from Ohio, so I met him in 1995. And I was just watching some fights, or recent regional fights that I wasn't in. I just like to go to fights and study and watch and learn. And he was fighting some guy from my hometown. I was cheering for the guy from my hometown, and Floyd First time ever seeing Floyd fighting, and it was a beautiful thing to watch. And I was sitting next to his girlfriend, not knowing, and he came, after he fought and got, dried off and stuff. He came and sat down right next to me, and he introduced himself. We that's where we first met at a regional tournament in 1995 in Peoria, Illinois.
Wow.
Yep.
So then you started training, and are there any other big name fighters that you trained before you started training Floyd?
Oh yeah. Well, kind of seen my work ethic and my professionalism, if that's a word. And he started to kind of like push fighters in my direction. And one fighter, James Kirkland, was about to fight Canelo, and they reached out and asked me to be his trainer. And he reached out and asked me to be his trainer after he left Ann Wolf. And that's the fight where he left Ann Wolf.
Right.
So that was the very first named fighter that I worked with. And that was the fighter right after the first fighter I told you about. That was just a year and a half later or something like that.
It was Kirkland, okay.
And then after Kirkland came, I trained Jamel Herring, former Olympian, just former world champion, and another Olympian, Rainier Williams, and for a coach Mike Stafford, Cincinnati Adrien Broner coach, former Olympic trainer, and then then I stopped. Adrien Broner talked me into coming back out of retirement. So I was retired in 2001 at 5-0 and 3 knockouts. And then Adrien talked me into coming back out of retirement in 2016. So 15 years later, I stopped training and I started working out myself. I went from 192 pounds down to 126 pounds.
Wow.
To make a return almost in my old weight division 15 years earlier. And I fought twice. I won both fights. So I ended up going 7-0. I hurt my wrist in the last one, and did a little rehab then. And when I went back to start training, I hurt it again. I was like, you know what? That's good. I'm too old to be getting injured and trying to rehab and then come back because I wasn't even 100% yet. I was trying back to as close to 100% as I can get as an active fighter. But so I stopped for good and I went back to training.
So you never ended up having that fight in 2016?
Yeah. I fought twice and I won both.
Okay. And how'd you feel like besides the hand hurt?
Oh, I felt great, man. Especially in the gym, I was 37, 38 years old and I'm boxing guys like Gervonta Davis and you name them. I boxed them and I did really well against them. Most of them I beat. Me and Tank had some wars in the gym. Well, let's say one war, but we boxed 3 times. Very competitive sparring sessions, and the last one I remember was 18 minutes straight, no water, no break, and the whole gym shut down at Headbangers, and we went to war. And so I was ready. I could have easily became world champion, multiple world champion, even at 37, 38 years old, but the wrist injury, and I decided to just hang them up for good.
So the wrist injury never really healed. It kept just bothering you.
No, it was just that one time in the fight, and then I took more than enough time because I knew I was older, and even though I was healthy, trying to do a vegan diet as much as possible, that I need to take more time than even what the doctor says. And I did that. And then I went back and I eased into the gym. I eased into putting any power, stuff on my punches. And I hurt it again. I didn't hurt it as bad as I did, in a fight. But it was hurt. And I was like, man, I can't keep going, taking 6 weeks off at a time. I need to be on this because I'm behind the schedule, as far as time.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I think the smart thing to do right now would be to hang them up.
Okay. So you hang them up in 16. And then you go back to training. How soon?
I really didn't go back to training. I went back to being a family man, a father, sitting in the house, making ends meet, taking care of the bills and family. And 2019 is when I came back. So I trained from like 2013 to 2015. Then I retired to try to, fight again. And then I started back in 2019 when I tried to get Adrien Broner out of the streets, out of the drinking and doing the bad stuff that he was doing that was hurting his career. And it took me a year and a half of just being with him, a long year and a half of being with him, trying to get him to stop drinking and stop the partying and, all of the bad stuff he was doing. And
It lost to Maidana, right? This was
This,
later on.
this is when he took after the Pacquiao fight, right after the Pacquiao fight, where he went on a 2 year of
Right,
nothing.
right, right. And did you know him growing up since you're from the same city?
Yeah, my when I was in the gym around that time that he started boxing when he was 6 years old. His very first days in the gym, I was like ranked number one, maybe two in the world, and so he looked up to me. I was 11 years older than him. I was 18. He was 6, so or 7, and so he looked up to me. So we had that relationship to where like that's like big brother, you know.
Right.
Sense. Yeah, so I'm hanging with him, and it took me, like I said, a year and a half to get him to get really serious, get back into the sport. And I trained him for 4 months, and Coach Mike and Coach Levi Smith, his regular trainer since he was a kid, they joined us down in Miami for the last 6 weeks before his comeback fight. He got his first win in, I want to say 4 or 5 years. Next, as I started again, training again, 19, end of 20.
So you cut out a little bit. What you said?
Started training again when I got Adrien back into the sport.
Okay. Okay, and that was 2019, you said?
Yeah, 2020. The end
So,
of 2020.
okay. So as a trainer, where do you get where do you get the inspiration for your training style? Like, do you have a specific style for everybody, or do you just mold it around the fighter? How do you do it?
I'm mostly kind of fighter, but I say my philosophy as a trainer for defense first, longevity in the sport. So I'm teaching the sweet science of it, which is the definition of boxing to me, to hit and not at all. And and I mold that around the fighter style. I don't care if they fight like Tyson or if they fight like Floyd. We're gonna be defense first. You know, of course we're gonna go out there and throw punches and win fights, but we're gonna try our best not to get hit. So it's an easier fight to score for the judges.
Um, so at what point? So now you're training, you're working with Broner. So at what point do you move on to other fighters? What's the next step at that point?
So after Adrian's fight was February 2020. Or was it 2021? I think 2021. Floyd reached out, and he was getting ready to make an exhibition fight with Logan Paul, and that was the first fight that me and Floyd started working together.
Okay. Now was Floyd? Jeremy will come right back. Was Floyd taking that fight serious? I mean, I know he took it serious, but what was his mindset? What was both your mindsets training for that fight? Because it was a very different. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever done that before.
Right. From my perspective, watching I watched, Floyd's whole entire career, from the amateurs up into to now. And I think he took it more serious than he did a couple fights at the end of his career, maybe at least one or two or three of them. I think it was because it felt like Roger was there again, like a young Roger, a fresh Roger was there in spirit through me. So I think he had a lot more fun, and a lot more energy, and he was able to do what he used to do, before Roger started declining at the end. So I think, of course, he can't take it super serious because it's an exhibition, and he don't want to kill a guy, and they're going to complain about how he murdered Logan Paul. So. We worked, well, we worked hard. We had a lot of fun. He got in great shape, and he could have went 20 rounds like the old him if needed.
So he was very much affected by Roger passing, huh?
I wasn't there when it happened. I was way on my own, doing my own thing, taking care of the family and stuff like that. But I'm sure he was, and yeah, just like I was times 10.
Right, right. Okay. So after the Logan Paul fight, what have you been doing since? Because I know Floyd has an exhibition coming up, which we'll talk about. But in between that, what did you do?
Okay, so in between Logan Paul, after Logan Paul came, I went back home and went in Miami, Even though we fought Miami, we had a lot of the camp. Floyd moves around in camp. He'd be all over the world. Like some here in Miami, some in Vegas, some in LA, everywhere. And we ended up fighting in Miami, and I live in Miami, in Midtown Miami. So I got to go straight home from the arena and kick it with the kids. And I don't even think a week or two went past, and Floyd said, "Get over here right now. Come to the gym. Send me the address." Had his personal assistant Kesey send me the address, and I went over there, and it was my brother. Now I'm glad he introduced this man as one of my closest brothers, Tyron Woodley, a welterweight legend in the UFC, 5-time world champion, and he was there, and he was working out, and we shook hands, and we left that day. Ended up being I'm a coach and fighter, and of course it took a couple weeks to put it together, but we started working out that day. And so that was next after Logan Paul. Me and Tyron Woodley starting our relationship with Floyd.
Had Woodley already signed to fight Jake Paul when this happened?
Yes, he was preparing for Jake.
Okay. Now how was that working with somebody who, was not a fighter? I know he obviously has some of the foundation for it, but how was that like? Was that difficult at first?
Not difficult at all, because I go off of vibes. I'm a very spiritual person, and I read energies. And his mom and his sisters were at the gym. Not all of them, but some of them. And it felt like family. And I'm a family guy. Like I deal with loyalty. Yeah, my fighters become family. I don't care who they are. We're gonna be that good. I'm not gonna work with anybody that's not gonna feel like that. And so from feeling Mama Woodley's is his mom name. Nickname, and his sister's energy, I was like, man, this is like family. So it was very easy. It was like working with a brother. And and when you working with somebody that you care about and they end up loving you, give all, and then they give all too, if it's everything's reciprocated. So it was very easy. But skill wise, Tyron, he already had everything. He's hungry. He's a sponge. He's a genius. He's smart. He's very competitive. He listens, and he soaks up everything. So it was very fun. It wasn't hard at all. The only thing that I was worried about was him doing something that he was so used to doing in the cage inside of the ring, like spinning back fists and elbows.
Yeah. He looked great in the first fight. The only thing I would say is he looked a little gun shy.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think that's just what it looked. The first thing that us in the boxing world would assume, but to me it was, I gotta remember what I can't do in here versus the cage. You know what I'm saying? So that causes a little hesitation that we have to keep in mind as well, because there was a few times in sparring, preparing for the first Jake fight, that we got a couple spinning back fists that I had to jump in the ring and apologize to.
Oh, really? He just off reflex?
Yeah, just because that's how it comes. It's just, especially when you're that good, it's just instant. Accident, it's just muscle memory. So yeah, that's what I was the most worried about. But we got through that. But I think a lot of the hesitation that people interpreted as gun shyness was actually just hesitating because of the sport transition.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. Because it seems like he even had him a couple times and he didn't put his foot in the gas. But
Right.
Experience. You can't buy experience. It just takes time.
Right, and just think, if you get someone hurt in the cage, what you trying to do? You going over there? You going for straight murder? I mean, with knees and jumping, whatever. And so just imagine wanting to go kill somebody, but you got to think real fast. Oh, what should I do in this situation? So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And then you guys had obviously he had the rematch with Paul, which didn't end that well. How was your guys' mind frame after that rematch?
Well, during the fight, rewind a little bit. It was a great fight. I had us up maybe 1 or 2 rounds. So we were doing everything right. And, one simple mistake in our sport, any sport, can be the game or be the fight, be the match. And that's ultimately what happened. But after the fight, of course, you know, it's an unfortunate thing, but it happens in the sport. And you know, sometimes you dish it out, just like Tyron said many times. He done that the same thing that was done to him. He done it to so many people over and over again, in the gym and in the fight. So you know, it comes with the territory. Of course, you don't want it to happen, but you know, you got to be prepared for it mentally, spiritually. You know, when you first start any combat sport, you got to be prepared for that to happen to you. So
Right.
so it was unfortunate, but he's so strong, and he got the best spirits in the world, and he got a great support system at home, from his kids all the way up to his parents, and so he took it on the chin. He even was making fun about the unfortunate situation on his social media. So it was all good after that. And but you know, of course, me as a coach, I'll try to be more than a coach. So you know, I stayed in contact with him. I even, you know, flew to St. Louis to check on him, make sure he was straight a couple times. We even started back training and getting back down to the basics so that he can come back, because he's not done. Even today, he's not done with boxing. He loves it so much. He has a great passion for it. And yeah, he took it on the chin, literally, but he really took it on the chin outside of the ring as well.
Yeah, I mean, so he's what is he? He's 40 years old now, right?
Yeah, just turned. Yeah,
And he plans to keep going in boxing.
yeah. He's planning on having another one this year, and I think he's. I don't know if he told the world, so let me not say nothing about what I was about to say.
Just between you and me.
Yeah, the whole world gonna see this thing.
um, okay, well, that is Jeremy's back. So that's cool. So, and now Floyd is fighting when and against whom?
Well, in between after Tyron,
Okay.
I got to the had the oh, what's up, Jeremy? Jeremy back. I had the privilege to be added to Claressa Shields' team. So
Oh,
yeah, so I trained her. I just started training her for her last fight, and we had what she calls her best performance to date in her last fight.
so tell me about her. What do you see in her that's special? Or like, you know, what's
Is what I everything. Yeah, is what I can't name think something I don't.
Jeremy? Jeremy doesn't really follow. Clarissa Shields, Jeremy, I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's like the best female boxer in the world right now. She's pretty special.
Yeah, she's very special. Like Floyd, with all the fighters I've had, especially since this last year, um, they're elite. You know, Adrien Broner, 4 time, 4 division, um, uh, one of the fastest, if not the fastest, to do it, or earliest age to do it.
Hmm.
Lloyd, Tyron, and Claressa, they're all elite,
Yeah.
and I mean super elite. So they all pretty much got the same qualities to me, is their willingness to push their bodies past, you know, what they think it can handle. Um, their willingness to sacrifice all the bad stuff so that they can reach their goals, you know, their personal goals, which are like, you know, for some people it's just like they think it's impossible. Of course, Adrian, you know, sometimes he slacks up, and he doesn't sacrifice as he should, but when he's in camp, he's locked in like Kobe or Jordan, and he puts the work. And he can go. He can spar 50 minutes straight, you know, without a break or a sip of water. But you know, of course, outside the ring, he, you know, or in between fights, he does a little. He gets off track. But
That,
all
that
of those.
not to cut you off, but is that something you do? Do you ever do it where on purpose the rounds keep going and you don't let them have water to condition them, or is that not something you do?
Oh yeah, no, that's what I do. For sure. That's what I live by. And the most some fighters, like Claressa, she gonna be mad at me, but she hates me when I say we're gonna do 9 stations, 10 minutes each. She's like, what? And you don't get no rest in the station. And then as soon as you're done on that bag, you walking straight from the bag to the next, you know, the bag or the speed bag or the rope or shadow boxing, whatever it is, you're going straight there. So, and you get a squirt of water, you know, from station to station. But it's and I get that from the way Roger trained me and Floyd. There was no breaks, and we're gonna get all the work done, and we're gonna be able to punch all night. We're gonna look like we did. We're gonna like the 12 rounds gonna look like the first round because of.
Jeremy, you ever train with no break? You ever go like just straight?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it messes up my mental clock for me. wasn't that, you know, because I know when 3 minutes are about over, not exactly, but about over. So if you just run the whole thing for me,
For
could
you,
be, yeah, it messes my clock up.
yeah, that's I like the way you answer that because it's all personal opinion. You know, some people may not need the 3 minute clock, or some people can still feel that 3 minutes or the 2 minutes and 50 seconds or 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You know, as they're working. But yeah, I agree. Some people it's
Yeah,
not
I think most of us who have boxed tend to know when it's about over.
right. Exactly. Or we know because sometimes the coaches they hold a stopwatch and they forget to say rest. You were like, hey coach, this round feel kind of long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So you were saying about you were talking about Clarissa,
Oh yeah,
right?
Cressa. So oh yeah. So uh, in her, I see the same things. You know, the same qualities that I seen documentaries on Jordan or Kobe or Tiger Woods or Serena Williams or Wayne Gretzky. You know, whoever the elites. You know, the top. They all got those that same hunger and drive and especially Floyd. He's gonna get the work in regardless. He could be sick, and he gonna get the job done regardless.
Are you going to be training Broner for? He's coming back in July, right?
Yeah, he's been in camp for about I want to say a little over a month right now up in Colorado Springs, but it's like a pre-camp because he's not gonna fight, or is this a longer camp because he's been inactive? So, but he's gonna fight in July, I believe, like mid-July, early to mid-July. But
Who's he
yeah,
fighting?
I'm gonna try my best to be in the camp for sure. Um, I'm just hoping that because Clarissa also fights July in her biggest fight versus Savannah Marshall over in. We're gonna try to make the fight in London, but Savannah's from Newcastle, and they're trying to get the fight to happen in Newcastle, but we're gonna push for London, more neutral ground.
That's the one who just beat Serrano, right?
No. They're smaller. Savannah Marshall she just won her fight though. We went over there and watched her fight, you know, to build the lead up, and she fought. Oh man, I forget the girl name, but yeah, she won by knockout second round.
So how does that work if you have two fighters, Clarissa, let's say, and AB, who are fighting right around the same time? And what do you do? How do you choose?
All right, this happened. I can answer this because, of course, as a trainer, you have to decide, or you try to manifest things to happen the way you want them, which is to be able to be in both. And this just recently happened with Floyd had a February 20th date for this fight that we're about to have in a couple weeks. He had a February 20th date, and Clarissa had a February 5th date, I believe it was, and so I had to bring both camps together somehow, some way. So you gotta I guess you gotta have a great relationship with your fighters, and you gotta have the conversation, and you ask them, is it possible we can do this, so that both camps can, be in the same vicinity, and we can get things done. You know, you work around, schedules, and as an assistant trainer, man, it was to Clarissa under John David Jackson. Shout out to John. He's a great coach, man. I learned so much from him. I'm a sponge, and I appreciate him welcoming me into camp as well. You know, because Clarissa asked me to assist her. You know, and so John could have been like, I don't like this guy. I don't want anybody else in, and
Right.
he welcomed me in, and I love him for that. So it was a perfect vibe, and we got to bring the two camps together in Las Vegas. You know, Clarissa is the GOAT, and Floyd to me is, and to many others, is the GOAT. So we had a GOAT and GOAT camp, and finished up in Las Vegas in great altitude training for her to perform for her fight, prepare for her fight, and Floyd for his.
Okay, so I guess the goal then is to try and get him close enough where you could just jump around and do both.
Yeah, and with AB making a great decision to go to Colorado for altitude, and kind of like is private and solitary, maybe it'll be possible to get the two to train in Colorado for a couple weeks, or in Vegas, or somewhere where people don't have a problem training.
What weight is Broner going to fight at?
Hold on. Colorado is hard as hell to train in.
I know the Olympic.
I know.
I know you know. I know.
Camp in Colorado Springs is
Why?
hell on wheels.
Why, Jeremy?
It's 6,000 feet up.
Altitude for one, not really much to do for two,
Once you get in shape, you'll be in the best shape of your life.
especially some girls fighting somewhere else. Oh my god!
You in shape, that mother, woo, that's a tough path.
If you can handle Colorado Springs, man, you could do anywhere.
So you're talking about mostly the altitude.
Right? Yeah, sure. You could barely when you first get there, you could barely breathe.
You walk. I'm sorry.
Walking,
Run,
walking, or going upstairs.
you're exhausted. I'm not exhausted. You're winded.
Windy.
You're like thoroughly proper winded. And then eventually your blood thins and it takes in more oxygen. Then it's the greatest camp ever. But
Right.
for that, it's the worst camp ever.
Right.
I trained in Arizona one time, and it was like 5 miles up, and I felt a slight difference, but nothing crazy.
Right.
Bottle is a whole nother bird, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay. So wait. So what were we saying? Okay. So you were talking about
Getting the two to join to be
right.
in the same identity as each other.
Oh,
So
I asked.
the rest of being such a warrior and one of the best for herself. We already talked about putting part of the camp in Vegas for altitude, to take advantage of that so she can go over there and be in tip top shape. Because this is like her biggest fight. So, you always do more when you have a big competitive matchup. So
right.
She's already prepared, mentally prepared to go crazy and to do what's asked and to reach great heights. And
Is she still gonna fight MMA, or is she gonna leave that alone?
No, she's not done. She's not done at all. She's about to go right back into. I think she's gonna fight. Okay, me being hopeful, I like talk him into happening. I think that she's gonna fight Marshall this year in July, and then I think that she's gonna try. Now, this is just me thinking. She didn't say any of this stuff. I'm just thinking and manifesting. I think she's gonna try to fight her good friend, Franchise, who just became undisputed, and
They
at the,
fought. They
at the
fought.
next fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fought her Clarissa's pro debut. I think it was both of their debuts.
Well, we've interviewed Franchon, and I was like, why would you? And I forget why they did that.
Right.
And it was close, right? Clarissa beat her, but it was close, or was it? I don't really remember.
I don't remember the scoring on it, but yeah, Clarissa won.
Which one?
Guess she's undefeated yet, but yeah, I remember the scoring, but she won, yeah, convincingly.
The women's high level boxing. I mean, are they? I know they're not equal in pay, but is there something that's driving them beyond the belt? I mean, like, is there a paycheck big enough to make them even want to do it?
Now, Clarissa, she spoke it. She made it happen. She's been pushing for women boxing equality as far as pay, of course, and exposure. She's pushing, just like us African Americans did, as far as civil rights and getting more liberties or whatever. But and she's I think she's the reason behind fighters like herself that just now reaching the 7-figure paydays, and last week Serrano and Taylor, they also reached their first 7-figure paydays, or maybe not their first, but they're getting there, and so the pays are going up. So she's closing the gap, which is great. I commend her for that. I always push for equality and pay for the women's side of the sport as well. So it's just good to see that she had a lot, not all, but a whole lot to do with that.
That's good. Do you think that? I mean, obviously, women's boxing, as it looks right now, is here to stay.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be the change in men's boxing? Because if there are two big stars, like the women's boxing is real big, and men's boxing has always been huge, but like something's gonna have to give somewhere in there because people are gonna be looking to find something that makes the sports equal.
Right. I think it's just gonna take. You ask me what it's gonna take for it to get closer. What can help speed up the process?
Not about there's got to be a nucleus somewhere, some tipping point where well, okay, we accept it. Okay, it's not. You know what I mean? Is that more female athletes? Is that less female athletes? Is it bigger stakes in the fights? I mean, what do you think it's going to take for the women and for some of the smaller shows in men's boxing to get to that point where it's a bit even?
I think it's gonna take for like how I just kind of compared it to us African Americans get more rights in life throughout the decades is the other side bending more and giving more and letting go of the power some because it's ultimately the people who are in control. They control everything or most of everything, and if they start pushing the go button for more women or for more fights or for more opportunities on that side of the sport, it'll happen. But it's going to take for them, to release some of that power, from one side. It's not like the men's side is going to lose anything. We're just give the women some more, just like WNBA and NBA, pay those women some more, man. That they're athletes as well. Just pay them some more.
Definitely athletes as well, but is there enough female athletes
Oh, for
to
sure.
work the sport so that there's I don't know how many was it 12 divisions, 14 divisions in men's boxing. Will
Right.
I
there
think
be
it's going to take,
I,
Christy Martin made it big because she was knocking people out. So if you get somebody that performs in that fashion, right, that'll.
Chrissy Martin was knocking people out, but she had basically no competition.
what I think is money. You're gonna have more women attempting to join the sport if it can become a dream for them. Like the reason why I got into boxing was kind of like, well, I'm gonna say one of the reasons that I even did it after I seen what I seen was the amount of money that Mike Tyson he was making, for like 90 seconds. I'm like, oh man, I want to do this because I want this money. That was a goal. So if the more money that the women make now that Claressa's making millions and a few other fighters are making millions, you're going to have other young women, young little girls. I want to do that because that pays. When they used to have the career class at school and be like, this career makes this much, this career, and 9 out of 10 times we were looking for the ones that made the most money, and we like, I'm gonna do that. Even if we didn't do it, even if we really didn't want to even do that career path, we chose that just because the numbers, it was more commas, it was more zeros. So I think now that if we can get more women to make the kind of money that Claressa's making, like I say, those little girls are going to come out of there's going to be less cheerleaders, there's going to be less dancers and ballerinas, and they're going to become boxers, and the sport will grow on the women's side of the sport, even though there's still a lot of
Well,
great women, female boxers right now, but they don't get the exposure that the men get, so very few people know about, more past, like, say, 10 fighters.
so that's it. And let's just let Carissa, beautiful fighter, great woman, great speaker, can do the sport.
So
No,
much
right? She's top shelf. No matter what you say, no matter what weight, top shelf.
facts.
Canelo Alvarez, top shelf, can fight, good looking guy, and it does what he says.
Right.
Canelo fights, 60 million. Carissa fights, 1 million.
Right. Just like the WNBA, man. It's the same thing. You got the average pay over there, I think, is 120,000. Compared to the NBA's millions.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
It's huge. I mean, yes, women. I have two sisters. I have a daughter. So I agree that women can do anything men can do, but there's certain shit women shouldn't do, and certain shit men shouldn't do. Just
They Right. And that's opinion, of course. Some women be like, "What? Ain't nothing I can't do." Some men say it ain't nothing I shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
yeah. So I before I forget, what weight is Broner fighting at when he comes back?
Yeah, Broner. He usually, like I said, the last fight that I trained him for, we were pushing for 140. And last minute, it was during the COVID bubble. They locked us in the room, on the floor, a hotel floor, and you couldn't train at the gym. It was in Connecticut. It was freezing. So I think and he ended up fighting 147 because he couldn't get the last couple of pounds that they bumped it up. They changed the weight division the last minute. But he's pushing for 140, and he's going to push for 135 and probably land at 140.
Okay, that's not bad. He has a few more years left in him for sure. So, all right. So let's get to, I guess, what. So Floyd is fighting who in a couple of weeks?
Floyd is fighting an exhibition fight in Dubai at the top of a real expensive hotel on the helipad. And I think we seen from the past a tennis match up there a few years back. But he's gonna fight Don Moore. A fighter, I believe he's undefeated at 18-0 or 17-0, somewhere around there. And they sparred in the past. The weight, I don't think it's going to be like a weight class because it's just an exhibition. But it's going to be right. Floyd usually floats around 150 to 160. So it's going to be right around there in that area.
So this guy he's fighting is just a pro fighter. Is he like a YouTube star? Is there anything else?
No. He's a pro boxer, former pro boxer that's been a little inactive at the end of his career. But yeah.
So what made Floyd choose this guy?
I'm not sure. I'll be lying if I try to explain.
You don't have to bullshit it. It's easy work.
No, I'm bullshit. I'm transparent as it is.
This guy, who nobody in the whole entire world has heard of, he's got 12 fights.
Some people heard of him. He just in Vegas. Vegas is a small community. And he came up into Vegas. He's from Gary, Indiana, but he trained in Vegas for many years. He built his record up into 17, 18-0. And
20 years, 17 fights, dude. Come on. But Floyd Mayweather is one of the greatest of all time.
Right.
Floyd is Floyd. Let's not puff it or turn it around. Floyd, this is easy work for Floyd Mayweather. He's gonna slap shit out of this guy, make a couple $1 million, and go home.
So it's probably out of Floyd's 50 real fights, and then a couple exhibitions. We could say that only about 2 or 3, maybe 4 people wasn't easy money. So this isn't.
This is
crazy out of the ordinary.
Why did you help Floyd pick this guy? No clue.
Yeah, no, I have no clue at all.
Okay. And is Floyd? Do you know if is he going to continue fighting exhibitions?
I can say what I think. I think he's going to continue fighting exhibitions. I'm a huge Floyd fan. If I just pull myself out of the trainer circle, and I would love to see him back in the ring. I just love I love the way he fights. I love boxers, true boxers that that believe in hitting and not getting hit, and it's hard to lay a glove on him, and I love watching him fight. So I would be hopeful that he would come out of retirement, but he always says that he's not, over and over again. But yeah, I would love to see it.
He told everybody he was gonna come back. It wouldn't be a surprise. So when he does things like this, and it's great marketing. Think about it. We're talking about it. The rest of the world's talking about it. Mayweather's fighting this guy nobody heard of, but the guy's got 17 victories or 15, you know what I mean? So it's not like he can't fight.
Right.
He's just not on play. There's nobody in this world who's on Mayweather's level.
I agree.
And so, that's what it is. Like, dude, I'm an ex-champion. Like, I look at the guy, I have nothing but respect for his boxing style. What he does, it's great. I don't know him. I've met him 6 to 10 times, but at the end of the day, he's one of my boxing brothers. So I give him the respect he's due.
Right.
And this other guy, the guy he's fighting, he's one of my boxing brothers, but he's on a whole nother level. Like,
right,
top of the world. Guy got to work and goes to the gym at night. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's getting a nice little paycheck. Floyd is blessing him with a paycheck and a little TV time. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, huge exposure for the Don Moore for sure.
So what's his name? Don Moore?
Yeah, Don Moore.
Don Moore. So are you taking in any new fighters, or you're not?
Oh yeah. I am. I got 2 new fighters, but I can't announce them yet. You know, of course, stuff has to be in stone. You have to be there. You know, camp start. I got 2 new fighters, huge name fighters that I'm gonna announce soon. But that'll be, you know, first day in camp. I'll announce it.
You said big name fighters?
Yeah, yeah, huge, huge, huge.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah, more blessings, man. I'm fortunate and super blessed and privileged to be able to be sought after, you know, as a trainer.
So
Your
let me this
Like,
training boxing style, your training style, right? You adjust to the fighter, obviously, right? But what are some of the key things that you key in to that guy that everybody needs to know, but specifically for this guy, I would ask you to do this.
right.
Not, but just like what one special thing do you try to bring to your guy?
Well, I try to do it all, man. I try to be way more than just a trainer, and so my number one thing is hard work, of course, and sacrificing. And that sacrificing may be, you may have a problem with weed or liquor or women in camp or partying or stand up not getting sleep or too anxious about sparring or whatever it is. I'm gonna limit um, the stuff that's gonna pull from our performance. I'm gonna raise the stuff that's gonna you know, add to our performance.
okay.
It be, but it's definitely hard work. I put the work in with the fighters. I don't know if y'all see, but me and Floyd just ran a couple minutes ago. We just ran. I ain't gonna say the mileage, but I run with all my fighters every single time. I don't miss a day. I don't care if I run 4 miles by myself in the morning, then the fighter going to run 6 at night. I'm gonna do 10, you know, that day. So I put the work in so that you know, I'm in the trenches with them to where they feel like, you know, they also got like a workout partner, but you know, I'm right there with them. If they slow down the pace and feel it needs to be a little faster, you know, I make them pick it up, and I'm just there every step of the way. I mean, like every step of the way. I don't miss one 10-second period on the speed bag or the rope. I don't miss nothing. I don't be on
Do
my phone.
you,
I'm
do you
super
um
professional.
move around with any of them? Do you ever spar any of your fighters?
No, not since I've been a trainer, but me and Floyd used to spar back in the day.
Okay. Well, I know you got to go. So I want to ask you one last thing before we wrap it up.
No, we're good. We can keep talking. I just got I just seen. That's why I checked my phone. We're good
Oh,
for a
well,
minute.
let me ask you this anyway. Spence or Crawford?
To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. I can watch a Crawford fight, and as soon as the fight is over, oh man, I think Crawford gonna beat Spence. Then a couple months later, Spence will fight. And after the fight, I'm like, man, I think Spence gonna beat Crawford. So I think I'm torn, like straight down the middle on that fight, man.
So
Honestly.
somebody has a gun to your head, and they say you better pick one. Who you pick?
I'm shooting them with my gun before they finish their sentence, but or my security. But yeah, I still got to stay 50 down the middle. I have to. I have to.
I would have to lean slightly, very slightly towards Crawford because I think Crawford is. I think he can adapt and he can improvise better. And I think the switch hitting that he presents as well, I think will just give him that little extra edge. I think his IQ in the ring seems a little smart, a little higher to me.
Now to say to that, um, a lot of people think that Crawford has a higher ring IQ. I think that people can't um they can see his clearer than they can see Spencer's because of his work rate is a little slower than Spencer's. But Spence adjusts to me. Me and Floyd, we're known for watching fights in slow motion. I mean, super slow motion. Where if you watch a fight, it might take 4 hours
Oh
to
wow.
completely. So Spence adjusts very well, very fast. It's just he's working he's throwing so many punches and bunches that it's hard to see the adjustments. Harder to see the adjustments compared to watching Crawford fight. So I think they're both. I think their ring IQ is. I think they're kind of like evenly matched all the way down, all attribute.
They are. They are. Jeremy's good friends with Derek James, who obviously trained Spence.
Likewise.
Yeah. So, okay. So Spence. Okay. So, do you think this weekend? Do you think Bivol has a shot?
To be honest, I haven't seen enough of him to be able to give to gauge that fight.
I was the same way, and I just watched a lot of him. He's kind of like a bigger version of Triple G, same kind of European style.
But yeah,
Has power. He's big. I still think his reflexes will be too much, and his ring IQ will be too much. But this guy is the first fight in I don't know how long that actually poses a real threat to Canelo, just because of the size and the power.
yeah. I thought Billy Joe was going. I thought the same thing about Billy Joe, man. And then you see Canelo come out and ice a person.
Right.
Caleb Plant,
Those
man,
guys are known as big punchers, and they weren't natural, 175 pounders.
right.
Oh,
Yeah. I watch them to be honest. I don't just throw a guess out there going off somebody else's opinion. So I really can't say on that one. But
right.
In the past, like recent past, I've said that I don't see anyone under heavyweight losing to Canelo.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you something that we ask everybody on our show. Your top 3 greatest fighters of all time, pound for pound.
Oh, I'm gonna go Floyd number 1. I'm gonna name. I got to name 4. Sugar Ray
Okay.
Robinson,
Okay.
Ricardo Lopez,
Okay.
Pernell Whitaker.
One who retired undefeated.
Yeah, Ricardo. Yeah.
Go in one, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Ricardo Lopez. One of my favorite fighters studying as I was coming up in the smaller weight classes.
Okay.
And I loved Nacho Bernstein's style of training. So I was a big fan of him as a trainer. Of course, he trained him along with Marquez. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So who's the 4th one?
Pernell Whitaker.
Pernell. Okay. Okay. That's a good. I've never heard Ricardo Lopez brought up, even though he should be. But I never heard him brought up. That's a good one, man. That's a real good one.
He was great, man. And left, I love the left uppercut. It's like the least thrown punch or focused on punch in the sport, to me, in my opinion. And he was great at it. And I love Ricardo Lopez. He was fun to watch.
Okay. And I guess on the flip side of that, now, who are your current pound for pound top 3 or 4?
Shit, man, that's tough. I'm just gonna name them. I can't even put them in order because of I would say Canelo, but I also have to weigh in the fact that the drug cheat cloud over him. But so take away the number 1 from that. Because of that, I also add in Crawford, Spence, and Inouye.
Okay. Okay. All right. Wow. I mean, there's so many good fighters now. Like, I don't remember the last time that 135-pound.
Right. That is scary. Right there.
Like, everywhere from 30 up to 40, you have so much talent. And, I mean, who do you think, if you could pick one out of all those guys, Tank, Ryan Garcia, Josh Taylor, all those guys, who do you think is the best fighter out of all those guys, if you can pick one?
Man, I can't pick one, man. I can't pick one. I can pick 3.
Okay.
3. And that would be in no particular order. Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney. Dang, I can't pick 3, man. Because I also still got to add Lomachenko in there, even though he took an L to T.O. So those 3, and there's one more. I'm kind of like I'm forgetting off the. Oh, Tank. My bad. So Tank is closer to the top with Shakur. Then I'll put Loma and Devin right below them. But in that go any way, man. That could be win, loss, or draw through whoever fights who.
And I think Tank is the only one of that whole group. Maybe Teofimo too, but Tank's the only one who can threaten you with that one punch knockout out of nowhere at any point.
Right. Yeah, I think he's at the top for sure with that. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't think any of the other guys have.
And people don't know, man. And Tank is very special, man. He's a better boxer than what people would assume, man. And people seeing. I've been in a couple camps with him. We work. Haven't trained him per se, like for a fight, but I've trained him, and a lot of power, but speed, ring IQ is off the charts. And then him being with Floyd just added to that, and it's just compounded. And he can go a whole fight without letting the glove touch him, but he loves the action and he wants to get the knockout. So you see a different version of Tank. The Tank that you guys see is a different Tank than what we see in the gym.
Wow. Wow, the only thing I guess that limits maybe his boxing is he's shorter, and as he goes up, he's going to be a shorter fighter, so it's kind of hard to box on the outside, right?
Right, but he can do it, and I mean against uh, light heavyweights.
Really?
Yeah.
Um,
From all around the world. I mean, Russians and Germans, they come and they're swinging their hardest.
wow. Wow.
Bivens type guys, yeah. Tank is special, man. Tank is very special. Great.
So I guess another thing I want to bring up, I guess, before we wrap it up, Tyson Fury. What do you think about Tyson Fury? Because a lot of people now are throwing out one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. What do you think?
Definitely one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I won't say like top 5, 10, 1, 3, 20, 30, 50, but definitely one of the greatest. What he's doing or what he's done is historical. It's commendable. He's a special fighter. You wouldn't expect it looking at him, but you have to give people their credit, especially when you're in the sport. You have to give the credit where it's due, so that you can receive that same energy when you want to be spoken about. So he's definitely great. Shout out to him and his team, man.
Yeah, he was, just the size alone and the reflexes for that size, I think, and I don't know if you saw this, but Emmanuel Stewart, there's a video of him saying that Tyson was the most mentally tough fighter he's ever trained. Did you ever see that?
Oh, I didn't, but that's crazy to hear somebody like Stewart say that.
And it's on video, so it's not like a rumor. He really said it.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, that is crazy. But look, man, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. We'd like to maybe we'll do it again after maybe Floyd's exhibition or after any of your fighters fight. We'd love to talk to you again.
Oh man, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
Good day.
All right, Marco, Jeremy.
All right,
That was good, brothers. Talk to y'all next time.